The book of Hebrews honors heroes of faith. Among them is Gideon. Gideon, a man who lived in a time of great turmoil and oppression, was called by God to deliver Israel from the Midianites. Despite his initial doubts and feelings of inadequacy, Gideon rose to the challenge, demonstrating remarkable faith and obedience. He is remembered for his courage and trust in God. Gideon's story is one of transformation, from a hesitant and fearful man to a bold leader who trusted in God's promises. His journey was marked by moments of doubt, but also by incredible acts of faith that led to miraculous victories. Hebrews 11 verse 32 speaks of his faith. Gideon's story inspires us. It shows that faith is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. His life teaches us that God often chooses unlikely individuals to fulfill his purposes, and that our weaknesses can become strengths when we rely on him. It reminds us that God can use anyone. No matter our background, our doubts, or our perceived limitations, God can work through us to achieve great things. Gideon's story is a powerful reminder that faith and obedience to God can lead to extraordinary outcomes. Gideon's journey was not easy. He faced numerous challenges and obstacles, both external and internal. The rugged terrain he traversed symbolizes the difficult path of faith that many of us walk, yet it is through these trials that our faith is tested and strengthened. He faced fear and uncertainty. Like many of us, Gideon experienced moments of doubt and anxiety. The stormy skies reflect the inner turmoil he must have felt. But in those moments of fear, he turned to God for guidance and strength. But through it all, he clung to God. His determination and unwavering faith in God's promises carried him through the darkest times. Gideon's story encourages us to hold on to our faith, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. He learned to rely on God's strength, not his own. The image of walking with a staff through a rugged landscape symbolizes the journey of faith, where we learn to depend on God's strength rather than our own abilities. The sunrise over the mountains represents hope and new beginnings that come from trusting in God. He is a testament to God's power to use ordinary people. Gideon's life is a powerful example of how God can transform ordinary individuals into extraordinary leaders. His story reminds us that with faith, courage, and reliance on God, we too can overcome our challenges and fulfill our divine purpose. Gideon was an ordinary man. He felt inadequate for the task God gave him. He questioned God's choice. "Why me?" he asked. He saw himself as weak and insignificant, but God saw his potential. God reassured Gideon. He promised to be with him. He called Gideon a mighty warrior. This gave Gideon courage. He began to believe in God's plan. He took the first step of faith. Gideon's first act of obedience was simple. It was a quiet night, and the moon cast a gentle glow over the land. Gideon, a man of humble beginnings, found himself at a crossroads. He knew what he had to do, but the weight of his decision pressed heavily on his shoulders. He tore down his father's altar to Baal. This altar, a symbol of his family's and community's devotion to a false god, had stood for years. Gideon's act was not just physical, it was deeply symbolic. It represented a break from the past and a step towards a new future. This was a bold move. It required immense courage and determination. Gideon knew the risks involved. He was aware that his actions could lead to severe repercussions from his family and the community. Yet he chose to obey God's command. It went against his family and culture. But Gideon obeyed God. He stood firm in his faith even when it meant standing alone. His act of defiance was a testament to his unwavering belief in God's plan for him. Gideon also built an altar to God. He offered a sacrifice. This new altar was a declaration of his allegiance to the one true God. It was a physical manifestation of his inner transformation and commitment. This showed his commitment to God. Kneeling before the altar, Gideon prayed earnestly, seeking guidance and strength. His heart was filled with a sense of purpose and direction. He was stepping out in faith. Each step he took was a testament to his trust in God's plan. The path ahead was uncertain, but Gideon was determined to follow it, no matter where it led. He was trusting God to lead him. Under the vast expanse of the night sky, Gideon felt a profound connection to the divine. He knew that he was not alone in his journey. These small acts were significant. They were the foundation upon which greater things would be built. Each act of obedience, no matter how small, was a step towards fulfilling God's greater plan. They marked a turning point in Gideon's life. As the first light of dawn broke, Gideon felt a renewed sense of hope and purpose. His journey was just beginning, but he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with faith as his guide. God instructed Gideon to reduce his army. This seemed illogical. Gideon's army was already outnumbered, but God wanted to show his power. He wanted Gideon to rely on him completely. The victory was decisive. God delivered the Israelites. He used a small, weak army to defeat a mighty enemy. This victory proved that God's strength is made perfect in weakness. It showed that victory comes from God, not from human effort. Gideon at times doubted. He asked God for signs. He wanted to be sure he was following God's will. God patiently provided the signs. He reassured Gideon. God understood Gideon's need for reassurance. He patiently guided him. Through these experiences, Gideon's faith grew stronger. He learned to trust God more fully. Gideon's story teaches us about courage. He overcame his fear and insecurity. He embraced God's plan. He stepped out in faith, even when he doubted. Gideon's story also teaches us about God's power. God uses the weak to shame the strong. He works through ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things. We can be encouraged by Gideon's example. Gideon's journey inspires us. His story is a powerful reminder that even the most unlikely individuals can be chosen for extraordinary purposes. Gideon was an ordinary man filled with doubts and fears, yet God saw something special in him. He saw potential where Gideon saw inadequacy. It reminds us that God can use anyone, regardless of our background, our past mistakes, or our current circumstances. We are all valuable in His eyes. He can transform our weaknesses into strengths and our fears into courage. No matter how weak or inadequate we may feel, God sees our potential. He knows our true worth and the incredible things we are capable of achieving. When we trust in Him, we can overcome any obstacle and rise above our limitations. He can empower us to do great things. Trust in God's strength. When we rely on His power rather than our own, we find the strength to persevere, to push through challenges, and to achieve what we once thought impossible. Take a step of faith. Obey His call. Sometimes, all it takes is a single step in the right direction to set us on a path to greatness. When we follow God's guidance, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities and blessings. You may be surprised at what God can do through you. His plans for us are often beyond our wildest dreams. When we surrender to His will, we allow Him to work miracles in our lives and in the lives of those around us. Your journey, like Gideon's, can be a testament to God's power. Each step you take in faith is a testament to His greatness. Your life can become a beacon of hope and inspiration to others, showing them what is possible when we trust in God. He will be with you every step of the way. You are never alone on this journey. God's presence is a constant source of comfort and strength, guiding you through every twist and turn. He will give you the strength and courage you need, no matter what challenges you face. Remember that with God by your side, you have the power to overcome them. Embrace His strength and let it propel you forward on your journey. So, what's one step of faith you need to take today? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this to encourage someone else. Because God is still using ordinary people to do extraordinary things.